Okay, I'm going to make a couple more videos in response to Leighton, Tim, and Braxton. We're going to start here with another statement that is very concerning by Tim. Now, I've talked to Tim personally. I know he does not believe this, or maybe he wants to nuance this, but listen to what is said here. And again, this is very concerning. We're going to deal with what the text is actually saying, and then what it says later on. So let's listen here about him talking about the ability of unregenerate Israelites. Unregenerate. Listen.
I don't think that, I mean, if you really look at some of these passages, I mean, you referenced Deuteronomy 30, Leighton. I mean, you know, I recommend people to just go and spend time in Deuteronomy 30, 11 on.
Which is also quoted by Paul in Romans 10, just so you know. But go ahead.
Yes, he's talking about the gospel. I have read Deuteronomy 30. Keep reading, brother. We're going to deal with that in a second.
Okay. But I mean, just look at 14. But the word is, well, no, I'll back up here to 13. Well, let me just start at 11. For this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you. This is the unregenerate Israelites, by the way. Okay? This commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who will ascend to heaven for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. That we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. You can do it, it says. This is the ESV, right? You can do it. But a lot of them didn't, right? So
none of them did it. None. Tim, these are the same objections. You might have read this in Luther's Bondage of the Will. I don't know if you've read that book. This is the same thing that Erasmus brought up to Luther back in the 16th century. Same thing. We've dealt with this. Deuteronomy's talking about location, not about ability. Look at the context. It's saying that that it's not there. Now, do they have the ability to do this, right? Keep reading, Tim. Keep reading, brother. I know you believe that, because he says unregenerate Israelites can obey God's law for life because they accept libertarian free will. What is going on? I know he doesn't believe that, or he's inconsistent or contradicting himself, because I've talked to him myself, and he believes that you need the supernatural grace of God to be able to even believe the gospel, let alone obey God's law, right? So what you're saying, what you're implying, Tim, is unregenerate Israelites can obey God's law, which Paul says can't happen in Romans 3. The law's meant to, in Galatians, the law's meant to shut us out. It's meant to shut us all in disobedience. It's meant to point out our sin. Right, brother? Now keep reading. Look at Deuteronomy just a chapter later, brother. Look at it. Deuteronomy chapter 31. Take this book of the law and place it beside the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may remain there as a witness against you. Talking to the Israelites. For I know your rebellion and your stubbornness. Behold, while I am still alive today with you today, you have been rebellious against the Lord. How much more then after my death? They're not going to obey. Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their hearing, and call the heavens and the earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death, it's determined, he knows, under the Holy Spirit's inspiration. For I know that after my death, you will act corruptly and turn from the law which I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days. For you will do that which is evil in my sight, in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to wrath with the works of your hands. Then Moses spoke in the hearing of all the assembly of Israel the words of this song until they were completed. Now read the song of Moses. It's him just hammering them, saying how they're evil and wicked and bad. Read it. They have acted corruptly toward him. They are not his children because of their defect, but a perverse and corrupt generation, a perverse and crooked generation. Brother, they can't do it. Read the whole Old Testament. It's failure after failure after failure after failure of trying to obey the law. Now there are God's elect. There's the remnant that God preserves to himself. As he said to Elijah, I preserve 7,000 who have not bowed the knee to Baal. And that's what's also talked about, Brother Leighton, in Romans 9 and 10 and 11. The remnant is talked about there, right? So, and the whole thing with Leighton bringing up Romans 10 and all that, that's another issue. But let's listen to what Leighton says.
So we've got here, I mean, that seems to heavily imply a categorical.
Yes, the only reason you wouldn't take it that way is if you impose determinism. In other words,
no, you keep reading and then you read Paul. You read the whole of the Old Testament. They don't obey the law ever. Never perfectly, not even close, unless they're lifted by grace out of it and they're preserved. They're one of the remnant preserved by God. And even they don't obey it perfectly. And that's the point of Paul. You're arguing that unregenerate Israelites, that this implies unregenerate Israelites can obey God's law. Okay. I hope you think about that and continue reading into Deuteronomy 31 and the whole Old Testament and the New Testament with Jesus. You then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children. Total depravity is taught throughout the entire Bible without God changing the heart. You see? Okay. That's all very concerning. I'm going to make another video here. But this is very concerning, brother. I hope you consider what you're saying. And God bless your day.